Welcome everyone to Ellis Gaming and Review. So welcome back to another film review. Number 3. Yeah, if you've been to the cinemas recently, you probably would have noticed if you clicked on this video. But if you have been to the cinemas, or if you've not watched it, there's like a sequel to an iconic film franchise that had just arrived into theatres. So I thought, while promoting this, I might as well just talk about the whole films of this films franchise, including the new films. What are we talking about today? Scream. Yeah, the 90s slasher horror film created by Wes Craven, well, directed by Wes Craven, and starring one and only Neve Campbell as Sidney Prescott. So yeah, I'm going to talk about each of the Scream films. Scream, or Scream 1, Scream 2, Scream 3, Scream 4, Scream, I don't know why it's still called, just called Scream. It's basically Scream 5 to me, because Neve Campbell is in it. So, and it's just, this is real good though. I'll talk about it later on. Scream 6. And the more recent Scream 7. So yeah, sit back, relax, and before you ever do watch a scary movie, please make sure that you know all the rules before you get an unexpected phone call where someone asks you about scary movies, because there'll be no way out. Right, let's start off with the first Scream film.
You want to play psycho killer? Can I be the helpless victim? Okay, let's...
Okay, so Scream, released in 1996, the one that started the franchise, the one that started it all. So, director Wes Craven was already a household name in the horror genre with the blaxploitation film The Last House on the Left and The Hills Have Eyes, and of course A Nightmare on Elm Street, which was already kicked off a horror franchise. Now, one of the things about this film is that A Nightmare on Elm Street revolutionised the slasher genre of the 80s, and Wes Craven brought the whole genre to the 90s with this film. Let's talk about it. Okay, so the film starts off with Drew Barrymore, who gets an unexpected phone call from a mysterious caller asking about stuff like what her favourite scary movie is, and she has a conversation about tons of horror films, and then the caller gets aggressive and her boyfriend gets tied into a chair outside her house, and this mysterious caller happens to be a masked killer called Ghostface. And then she screams, and then Ghostface goes after her, kills her, and just ties her into a rope. Well, just leaves her hanging dead and only to be discovered by her parents and stuff. Now, this is what the editor got wrong. Because the film starts, so after you see the Dimension Films logo, it just cuts to Scream, the film's title card, and then to the epilogue, the prologue of Ryan Reynolds' character, and then we cut to Neve Campbell. You should have just cut, right, Dimension Films logo, the prologue, then the title card, and then we cut to Neve Campbell's character, because the sequel's got it right, but this got it wrong. Okay, so we're now introduced to Sidney Prescott, played by Neve Campbell, and she's just on the computer and stuff, and then her boyfriend Billy Loomis, played by Skeet Ulrich, comes in, and then history repeats itself. She goes to a school, or a high school in Woodsboro, and she has a lot of friends like Randy Meeks, Schumacher, played by Matthew Lillard. That's the best part of the film. Yeah. Also, so Sidney Prescott, her mother was murdered prior to the events of the first film, but her father's still here. And then there's a murder going on in Woodsboro, and then a bunch of teenagers getting killed. And we also see the school's principal, played by Henry Winkler. Yeah, Henry Winkler's in Scream. That's the vault from Happy Days, yeah. Yeah, Ghostface just goes around, kills people, and then some point on, Sidney gets a phone call from Ghostface, and basically he goes after Sidney, but she survives, unlike Drew Barrymore. And then we meet Dewey Riley, played by David Arquette, who's like the detective of this case. And then we meet Gail Weathers, who's like a news reporter, and she's played by Courtney Cox from Friends. That's what you need to know. And then one thing you need to know is that there's a part of the film, Gail Weathers interviews Sidney, and she just punches her in the face and stuff, yeah. So then at some point in the film, Randy Meeks and Stu go to a video store picking up some films for like the film night that we're doing, and then they go to this house party, and then Randy shows us the tips on how to survive a horror film, because he's got all the knowledge. He's got all the knowledge of all the basis on this how to survive a horror film. So he basically knows his way out. I mean, so Randy tells everyone, including Cindy, on how to survive a horror film. So he knows his way in. He knows his way all through the film, through each horror film. And then there's one part where Stu exits the room and he goes, "I'll be right back." And then, for me, when you notice that, I think that's, I'm not sure, that proves that Stu is one of the killer. Yeah. So anyway, one of her friends gets killed, a female friend, Rose McGowan. I actually feel bad for her now, considering that her career collapsed all because of Harvey Weinstein. I mean, he produced this. I'm going to talk about the film's title in a second. She gets killed. Basically, she's just killed in a garage, and she's just, yeah, like lifted up by Ghostface. So anyway, towards the end of the film, Sidney's in the home with Billy and Stu, and that's when she finds out that they are the killers. Yeah, this one was two killers. So, and then you get Billy, who says this. We all get mad sometimes. I think that's not. I think it just says that he quotes Anthony Perkins from Psycho, and you can tell because he mentions it in the film. And so anyway, Dewey comes in, Gail Weathers comes in with a cameraman, and also they also tie her dad. They got her father as well, Sydney's dad, and next thing you know, Sydney just throws a TV down into Stu's face, and Billy has a gun, and next thing you know, he gets shot, and then he gets killed and stuff. In addition, Dewey also gets stabbed as well at the back, and he gets rushed to the hospital. Yeah, for me, this is a really good Scream film, and this is a really good way to start a horror franchise. And as already mentioned, Wes Craven is a legend when it comes to horror films, and he knows his way through the genre. As already talked about, he was already a household name, like Nightmare on Elm Street, The Hills Have Eyes, and The Last House on the Left, and many other horror films. But yeah, so according to what I've heard, the slasher genre was a bit of a joke, because Wes Craven at the time, before Scream, his career hit a slump through in the 1990s. So this film revived his career, and it revived this genre. Oh yeah, here's a reminder though, if you watch the film, Wes Craven actually makes a cameo in this film. You know the scene where we see Henry Winkler, and you see like a janitor dressed as Freddy Krueger. That's Wes Craven. That's actually him. He actually cameos in this. Yeah. Now, the title. But before I unveil the film's title, I need to discuss about the film's backstory. So, Kevin Williamson, the creator of Dawson's Creek and the writer of I Know What You Did Last Summer, got the idea of a real life murder because there was a bunch of teenagers that were actually well, it's basically how I'll say it. Basically, there was a real event that happened in the 1990s where a serial killer stabbed and killed a bunch of teenagers. So those events sort of were depicted in this film, and Kevin Williamson took inspiration from this and started to write a slash film which will become Scream. He sent it to Hollywood. Next thing you know, Harvey Weinstein picked it up, and the film was sent to Wes Craven. So the real problem was that this was sent out to tons of directors like Quentin Tarantino and Sam Raimi and even George Romero. They all turned it down for a specific reason. So Kevin Williamson, when he was writing Scream, originally called it Scary Movie, and that title would be used for a spoof of Scream years later by the Wayans brothers. Yeah. Before that happened, I mean, before Scary Movie, there was a called Scream, which was originally going to be called Scary Movie. Most of the directors just didn't take the film too seriously because of the title. They thought it was just like the title seems didn't look serious enough. And then Wes Craven came in, and apparently a 12-year-old boy met Craven and noticed his recent films at that time and pointed him out and called him out for making cheesy horror films, and history repeats itself. So then Wes Craven thought, okay, I'll direct this. So Harvey Weinstein, as you all know, produced a lot of big budget films that become instant hits like Pulp Fiction, but he's also known to be an arsehole. Basically, he's basically a film producer that no one wants to be associated with. I mean, after all these allegations of SA towards women in the film industry, I'm glad he's been blacklisted, because good thing no one wants to be associated. And the good thing is, he won't get to make any more films with Harvey Weinstein, because he's finished, thank God. So it was found during the film's post-production that Harvey Weinstein thought that Scary Movie was not a good title, and he came across a Michael Jackson song called Scream, and he suggested to Craven to change the title to Scream, and that suggestion worked. Even though Harvey Weinstein is known for doing last minute edits without director's permissions. So yeah. Also, that was my review on Scream, and I need to explain about my thoughts. It's alright. I mean, it's a good horror film, and Marco Beltrami's music was spot on. Most of the actors were all spot on. And oh yeah, now Linda Blair, I don't know if you have heard of her. She was in The Exorcist as Reagan, the possessed girl. She makes a cameo as a news reporter, and I noticed that in the kill count, but I didn't notice that in the actual film. If I get to rewatch it, then I might probably notice it instantly. So yeah, that was my review on Scream. Now let's talk about Scream 2.
Want to die? Is that the best you can do? Because Billy and Stu were much more original.
Okay, so Scream 2 for 1997. This one takes place a year after the events of the first Scream film. It starts off with Jada Pinkett Smith, and she and her boyfriend are watching Stab, which is basically based off the murders as seen in the first Scream film. Ghostface kills him in the bathroom and takes his clothes, and then he goes after Jada Pinkett Smith off the spot in the cinema room while the film is still rolling. We cut to the title card, and here's something neat about the title card, because I think that's what they got right, and that's what the first one could have got right, because you have the prologue, then the title card, and then we introduce to Sydney. That's what the first one should have got right, but hey, we see Sydney Prescott. She's now a student at Windsor College. Randy Meeks is back, Drew Riley's back, and Gail Weathers is back. And then we see Timothy Olyphant and Sarah Michelle Gellar and a bunch of students discussing film sequels. Sydney gets invited to a sorority party, and then Sarah Michelle Gellar gets killed off the spot by Ghostface after receiving a phone call. And then Gail Weathers meets with a lady called Debbie Salt. And then Sydney meets with Jerry O'Connell and Colin Wary, played by Liv Schreiber, and he was in the first Scream film, but in a smaller part, but you will see him on the TV. And then at some point in the film, there's a musical number. Apparently Jerry O'Connell does some singing and stuff. And then Randy Meeks gets killed by Ghostface in a van. Yeah. And then Gail Weathers just goes around people who are only seen speaking to someone on the phone, or to make sure that it's not Ghostface. And then Sydney meets with a theatre director, played by David Warner, who you know as the nosy photographer from The Omen. He casts Sydney in a theatre production, and then during the show, she gets hallucinations of Ghostface and stuff. And then basically she feels scared to see, because she thinks that Ghostface is just going after her. I mean, he went after her in the last one. So when Jerry O'Connell also gets tied up like that, and then Sydney's with Cotton Wary there to see Jerry O'Connell tied, in order to discover that Ghostface shows up, or to discover that it's Timothy Olyphant. Now, I've talked about Timothy Olyphant in my Die Hard video, where he was the villain, but before he was a Die Hard villain, he was a Scream villain. And then we see Debbie Salt, only to reveal that she's actually Nancy Loomis, Bill Loomis's mother. Timothy Olyphant shoots Jerry O'Connell, dead. And then Nancy Loomis kills Timothy Olyphant, dead. Just like that. and then only to be scored that once Nancy Loomis gets killed, Timothy Olyphant comes back and Sydney shoots him. The way she did that to Billy in the last film. And then, again, much like the end of the first film, Dewey gets rushed to the hospital after getting stabbed by Ghostface, etc. It's just like the first film. For me, Scream 2 is a good sequel. Director Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson surpassed the original with this. It's much better, but I kind of like the fact that it includes the stab films. So, yeah, it's a good sequel. Marco Beltrami's back with his astonishing music, and his music was always spot on in the films. Oh yeah, when I was watching Scream 2, I noticed someone familiar. So, if you're a hardcore horror fan of the slasher films, you probably would have noticed a film called Urban Legend, which is basically a knockoff of Scream. It stars Jared Leto. There's an actress in that, well, there's a lass in that, who's the killer in that, and she was also in Scream 2. I don't know what her name is. She's in it as well. But I always thought, when I watched that, she would be the killer, just like in Urban Legend. So yeah, there's nothing much to say about Scream 2, so might as well move on to Scream 3.
Sorry! Jennifer Gale, look, I found a secret passage.
Okay, so Scream 3 from 2000. This one focuses on Hollywood. So the film starts off with Cotton Weary, again, played by Liv Schreiber, who is on his way home. His partner's waiting for him, and Ghostface shows up and tries to kill her. Cotton Weary arrives home, and Ghostface then kills him. And his partner as well. We cut to the title card, and then we cut to Sydney. She now works as a counsellor, and she and her dad now live in this sort of farmhouse. A horror film is in the works, titled Stab 3, which is, I assume, recreates the first film. The film's director is a young man named Roman Bridger, who is making a film with John Milton, played by Lance Henriksen. Yeah, from Aliens and the Terminator. Well, Bishop from Aliens. I think it's the producer somewhere. Oh yeah, Roger Corman, the legendary director behind all the classic B monster films, makes a cameo, I think, as an executive producer. Yeah. Meanwhile, the NYPD are investigating the murder of Maureen Prescott, Sydney's mother. You probably noticed it in the first film. And at some point on in the film, Dewey and some of the cast of the film, they're inside this house, and there's like a fax machine which is printing documents related to the production or the murder, either of them. And one of the actors thought it would be funny to light a document with his lighter, only to be discovered that it was a trap, causing an explosion, Michael Bay style. It came out of nowhere. Also, Patrick Warburton's in the film. Yeah, Joe Swanson from Family Guy, who was also a voice actor. Yeah, he's like Hollywood manager. Yeah, he's acting spot on. Kevin Smith, who I've already detailed in my Die Hard video. And if you probably would have not noticed, if you watched my Die Hard video, I've talked about that Kevin Smith made a cameo in Scream. Well, he makes a cameo in this film as Silent Bob. And then we get another cameo from Carrie Fisher as not herself. This is the scene where Gail asks for some photos of Maureen Prescott in the archives. And with this cameo, there's a bit of a Star Wars reference, because yeah, because the lady who Gail is with, she tells her, well, she said, "Oh, you're Carrie Fisher." I said, "No, I'm not Carrie Fisher." And she says that she tried out for a Princess Leia, even though she's not her but looks like her. It turns out that Maureen Prescott is an actress under the name Marina Reynolds. So there you go. Oh Oh yeah, the main actors of Stab 3 get killed, and it turns out that Ghostface all along is Wilma Bridger. Dewey doesn't get hurt as much in this one, and the film ends with Dewey proposing to Gail with a ring covered inside a book, and Sidney was there to witness it. And bear in mind, at the same time, Courtney Cox and David Arquette got married, because if you notice in here, Courtney Cox is credited as Courtney Cox Arquette, right here, because David Arquette. Scream 3 was okay. I probably will watch it at some point, as long as with other Scream films. And then there's nothing much to say about that, so let's cut to Scream 4.
Hello, Sydney.
Okay, so Scream 4 for 2011. Yeah, this came out a decade after Scream 3. So what it was that I don't even know if I noticed if you watch Scream 3, Randy Meeks, even though he gets killed in the second film, he actually makes a cameo in the third film, but only through home video, and he discusses something about a trilogy. And there were talks that after Scream 3 was to leave the franchise as it is, as a trilogy, and then Scream 4 happened. You know, to keep the franchise alive. Now this one starts off with so many prologues. Well, the first two actually opening to Stab 6 and Stab 7, I think. And then we get another prologue, and then we cut to the title card. We're back at Roswell for this one. Sidney Prescott is now a famous author, and she does some book signing. Dewey Gale, as already mentioned, got proposed in the third, and they are now married. Dewey is now a sheriff again, just like in the first film. And I like the way he gets introduced. He's in bed and he wakes up, and he has Axel F as his ringtone. Or as his alarm. And I don't mean Crazy Frog, the Axel F from Beverly Hills Cop. So, we have a few new students at Woodsboro. We've got Hayden Panettiere from the series Heroes, who's in this as Kirby. And Emma Roberts from American Horror Story is in this as well as Sidney's cousin Jill. And Rory Culkin. Yeah, Macaulay Culkin's younger brother's in this. I like the way they decided to relocate this to Woodsboro and use fresh younger actors in this, because it's like watching the first movie all over again and stuff, considering that all the original, that Sidney obviously is not a student, considering that she's like over in the 30s and stuff. Oh yeah, in addition, you have Alison Brie as a news reporter, and she likes Gail. She's like, has a crush on Gail Weathers. And then you got Anthony Anderson as a police officer. The thing is with Anthony Anderson, he can be really funny. I mean, he was in Exit Rooms with Steven Seagal. But he was also in Kangaroo Jack, which also features Jerry O'Connell from Scream 2. Ghostface goes out killing people, including Anthony Anderson in his police car. And then we have Jill and Kirby, and they watch Shaun of the Dead. And then in this scene, you get like a phone call, and Jill actually imitates Ghostface. What's your favourite scary movie? The fan gets killed by Ghostface next door, and then Ghostface then goes after Jill by slicing her left arm. And now Rory Culkin and his friend hosted a Stabathon, which to watch horror films including Stab. And then Gail Weathers attends one of the Stabathons to witness it and stuff. She has like security cameras all over the event. And then later in the film, Jill leaves home without Sidney knowing, and she leaves to go to her friend's house to watch a film. And she's with Kirby, Rory Culkin of course, and they just try to watch a film, and they just discuss about horror films, just like Randy Meeks in the first film. Apparently, Gail Weathers gets stabbed, and she gets rushed to the hospital. Yeah. Right, Kirby shows up, only to see Rory Culkin tied to a chair. Now, you're like in the first film, where you know the prologue, where we see Drew Barrymore and her boyfriend gets tied to a chair. It's exactly like that. And Ghostface wins Kirby, asking about a scary movie, and she just like guesses all horror films and stuff. Roy Corker gets some tied. He gets released from his chair, and Sydney shows up, and then Ghostface shows up, only to discover that it's Jill. I kind of like that, you know, when she shows up with the Ghostface mask, and she takes the mask off, only to be revealed that it's Jill. That's kind of the same way. In the third film, you look at the film director Roman Bridger. It's the same thing. She shoots her boyfriend Trevor, and he tries to go after Sydney. Well, she stabs Sydney, and then after that, Jill tries to hurt herself. She's trying to, you know, get herself brutally injured, and then she gets rushed to the hospital. And then Gail Weathers is in the hospital as well, and Sydney, and Dewey goes to see Jill and asks her that she wants to follow Gail Weathers' footsteps to her book. And once Dewey leaves, Jill escapes to go into Sydney's ward, and she tries to kill her. And then Judy Hicks, the other cop, she shows up, and then Jill manages to get hold of a gun, and she whacks Dewey with this metal object, and the next thing you know, at some point, Sydney fries Jill with a defibrillator, and she tells her to not fuck with the original, and then she gets shot in the head after that, dead. Now for me, Scream 4 was actually okay. I like the fact that it was brought back to Rusbro, and I like the fact that Wes Craven was brought back to direct the 4th film. But the sad part is that this was Wes Craven's final film, and he passed away in 2015. After all these years making horror films, and he's been making horror films since Last House on the Left from the 1970s. Now, Emma Roberts' performance as Jill was spot on. Because, to me, she's one of the best Ghostface killers in the Scream films, compared to Matthew Lillard in the first film and stuff. Right, and there's nothing much to say about Scream 4. Let's do Scream 5.
Hello, Sydney.
Hello there.
Okay, so Scream 5 in 2022. Though the movie itself is just called Scream, but for me it's Scream 5. Now this one is directed by Radio Silence. The directing duo by Ready or Not. Abigail, that's the one about the vampire ballerina, and Ready or Not 2. Yeah. Now this one is sort of a requel, because it's a remake and a sequel. The sequel, I think, is that it's set in the same universe as the original films, but the remake part is that you got fresh new talent. You know, kind of like in Scream 4. As already mentioned, you get new talent in this one, in Scream 5. So you got like a younger cast, to make it more modern and stuff. And this film is more modern. I mean, of course, with all its amounts of social media and stuff. And again, it's 2022. Yeah. Okay, so Jenna Ortega is in this film. Yes, Wednesday Addams from the Netflix series Wednesday, or Beetlejuice 2, and also from that Hurry Up Tomorrow with The Weeknd. It starts off with Jenna Ortega as Tara Carpenter. She's on a phone call from someone, a friend. It turns out to be Ghostface, asking about scary movies. She searches up on her phone. She searches up the cast of Stab on Google, goes on IMDb on her smartphone, and looks up the cast and stuff. Ghostface goes after her and then he stabs her. And she gets rushed to the hospital, but somehow she survives. Now we cut to California, and that's when we see Samantha, her older sister, and she's played by Melissa Barrera, who's also in Abigail. And then Jack Quaid is in this as her boyfriend. I think he's Dennis Quaid's son or Randy Quaid's son. Yeah. But it's just taking place at Roseboro. Judy Hicks, the cop from the last one, the 4th film, she's in this. She's back. And her son Wes, yep, she has a son named Wes, who's a student at Woodsboro. That's what you need to know. And then later on, they meet Dewey, who is now retired. Along with Dewey, they go visit Randy's sister, who is in the 3rd film. And they discuss, and then you have like a lass who discuss about sequels and latest sequels to popular film franchises, including the latest Star film for Rian Johnson, the director of Knives Out, Looper with Bruce Willis, and The Last Jedi. So Dewey wins Sydney, who somehow returns to Roseboro as a new murder just begun. And at some point, they're at the hospital with Dewey. They go to a lift, and Dewey wants to like stay there because he wants to go after Ghostface for real this time. But Ghostface finishes him off for real after all these films where he gets injured and stuff. These are just minor injuries, but here he gets properly killed for real. And killing him off was so emotional. Gail Weathers comes back as well to meet with Sydney and stuff. Yeah, so you got the original trio back. Oh yeah, Wes. He gets killed as well, along with her mother. She gets killed. Now later on, following the death of Wes, they do like a wake, you know, to celebrate Wes's life. I like the fact they have like a message on there that says "For Wes." When you see that, a lot of people think that even though it's actually to the character Wes, but it's also to the director Wes Craven, the original director of the Scream films. Eventually, towards the end of the film, we're at Stu Macher's home from the 1st film. Yeah, and it turns out that Jack Quaid and what's that? The other lass in the black hair. They're the killers. Cindy Gale shows up to the house, and Billy Loomis shows up as well. Only Samantha's imagination. We only appears on mirrors. Yeah, you get him in. You get Billy Loomis in the film as well, and I kind of like the fact that you got Skeet Ulrich to play the part, even though he's aged a bit, and he plays in character as Billy from the 1st film in his 1st film appearance. Oh yeah, now the girl who happens to be Ghostface, she gets her face burnt, and she gets shot. And when I saw her get her face burnt, I thought she was going to get her head burnt, kind of like Anakin in Revenge of the Sith towards the end of that film. For me, this is actually really good. I mean, I don't know if you noticed about this, because before Scream 4 came out, writer Kevin Williamson wanted to make 2 sequels to Scream 4 because he wanted to make another Scream trilogy. And you see, 5 and 6, the original plan for 5 and 6 was supposed to have Emma Roberts' character Jill getting stalked at some account. And these fell through because apparently Scream 4 underperformed. And then it got rebooted to a TV series. And then around that same time, Wes Craven died. And then, yeah, and the series is not that good though, because it's nothing like the films. And then, shortly after, Harvey Weinstein got accused of SA. And then he got blacklisted from Hollywood. He's done completely. And actually I'm glad that Harvey Weinstein is finished, because honestly he was the worst producers ever to exist in Hollywood. And obviously, and then there was Dimension Films, which I think got shut down. And then Paramount took over. They got the rights to the Scream films, and then after the series ended, a new Scream film happened with Radio, and then Radio Silence came in, and they wanted to make the 5th film as like an honorary tribute to the Wes Craven and the original Scream films. And then Radio Silence came in because they wanted to make this one as a tribute to the Wes Craven and the original Scream films and stuff. Yeah. Oh yeah, and fun fact, on YouTube, if you like horror films, you probably have noticed a duo on YouTube called Dead Meat. It's James A. Janice and his wife Chelsea, his fiancée Chelsea. What they do is that they do like a series on YouTube called The Kill Count, which they cover horror films, and they actually talks about the Scream films. Yeah, this is James A. Janice talking about all the 6 of the Scream films. Well, apparently, so there's a scene where Jack Quaid is in a laptop, is eating Pizza Hut, and is watching a podcast on YouTube. I didn't know how to hand it with Dead Meat, and then I actually noticed in one of the Kill Count videos, it is Dead Meat. And I tell you how they got cast. Because James and Chelsea are best friends with Radio Silence. The duo. What's the name? Matt Bettinelli Olpin and Tyler Gillette. Yeah, apparently they're mates with them, and they actually attended James and Chelsea's wedding, so yeah, there's nothing much to say about Scream 5, so let's do Scream 6.
Are you fucking kidding me?
You have a better idea.
No!
Okay, so Scream 6 from 2023. Okay, so this is... Okay, so... Yeah. Now, this one takes place in New York. Everyone from the last one is back, including Radio Silence. Yep, they're back in this one. Except for Neve Campbell, who fortunately does not come back in the 6th film. I mean, this one. Now, this one starts off with Samara Weaving from the Radio Not films. She receives a phone call from Ghostface. She's just been into a bar. And she gets killed. But the Ghostface killer is not the killer. It's just a film student cosplaying as Ghostface. He gets killed later on. So, Jenna Ortega, Tara, is attending a Halloween party where she dresses up as a pirate. Her sister Samantha, again played by Miss Melissa Barrera, she attends a therapy session about the killings and stuff. Yeah. Okay, so she meets Tara at the party, and I bet someone tries to have a go at Tara, and then all what Samantha does, she has a taser, and she tases the lad in the balls over Tara because she's telling him to back off. And then everyone just has a go at her, saying that she's a killer. That's what happens later on. So, Sam and Tara gets chased by Ghostface. They run to a shop, and the guy behind the counter tries to shoot Ghostface with a shotgun. They get stabbed. Now, I like the design of the Ghostface mask in this one, because the mask in this doesn't look clean. It looks more DK. Compare it to Michael Myers in the 2018 Halloween remake, you know, from David Gordon Green. It's just it's just like that. Okay, so for this one, the FBI gets involved, and the director of the FBI is trying to not just investigate the murders in this one, but the previous murders from the previous films. And then you get like a mood board of all the killers, all the previous students who committed these kills. Their photograph is on that mood board. You know, you see the killer from the last one, Jack Quaid. Emma Roberts is on that mood board. Timothy Olyphant, and even Matthew Lillard. Oh yeah, Hayden Panettiere is back in this one. Yep, Kirby's back, but she's now an FBI agent trying to solve this case. So yeah, she tags along with Sam and Tara. So anyway, Ghostface again kills people, including Sam's therapist. Gale Weathers is back in this one. I've got to mention. Yeah. So Sam and Tara and Kirby, they go to this museum of the Roswell murders and the previous murders, and it shows you all the outfits of the killers and even the victims. Like, I noticed Jill's patterned shirt and the team that killed Stu. Oh yeah, and I think one of the characters, they go to a subway and you see people cosplaying as other horror characters like Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger and stuff. Oh yeah, and Gale Weathers, she gets an encounter from Ghostface, who happens to try to kill her. She defends herself, and Ghostface stabs her off the spot. But did she survive? Who knows? But when I first saw that, I thought she gets killed off completely, but no, I think she gets rushed to the hospital, so who knows if she survives. That's one way to find out in Scream 7. Oh yeah, so towards the end of the film, we're at the same museum, and apparently the director of the FBI is behind all this. And that ginger lass, I think her name is Queen, one of the best friends. I don't know if I talked about her or not, but her dad is the FBI director, and she's one of the Ghostface killers. And I think there's a lad in curly hair. Yeah, he's one too. And what Sam and Tara do, they go out to stop him. And I like the fact that once both the Ghostface gets killed, the FBI director gets killed by Ghostface, but it's not one of them. It's Samantha. Oh yeah, in the first film, there's a part where Sydney gets interviewed by Gale Weathers and she punches Gale in the face. We get something like that in the 6th film, but Gale dodges it. Yeah. For me, Scream 6 is okay, but I am disappointed that there's no Sidney Prescott. But for me, it still worked. Billy Loomis is back, again talking to Samantha, just like in the last film. And, what else was I going to say? Now, there ain't much to say about Scream 6, so let's cut to the more recent Scream film, Scream 7. Also, for this part, I'm going to be talking about Scream 7, so bear in mind there's a spoiler alert for anyone who've not seen the film, because it has me talking about the entire plot and my thoughts, so if you don't watch the film, skip to the time code. And without any doubts, let's go on with the video.
All clear.
We're gonna secure the neighborhood.
Great, well, it'll be a few minutes.
Okay everyone, I just came back from the cinema for watching the latest installment of the Scream films, Scream 7, and we need to talk about it. Because literally we need to, because when I saw it, it was so awesome. Okay, so this one starts off with a couple visiting Schumacher's home. You know what we saw in the 5th film. It's turned into a museum, and we see Ghostface mannequin that moves automatically. So basically, a mannequin that moves, that comes to life. And I don't mean the film mannequin from the 80s. So Ghostface shows up, but it was actually her boyfriend pranking her. And oh yeah, and the Ghostface he saw positioned as a mannequin. Well, turns out it was actually Ghostface. Later on, you see, it was actually Ghostface that comes to life, basically, and he kills the lady. Well, he kills her boyfriend, and then he kills the lady as well, and he sets the house on fire. Basically, Ghostface is committing arson as well as murder. And we cut to the title card. So Sydney lives at home outside of Roswell with her daughter and her husband, and we have never seen them on camera. This is the first time we see them on screen. Her husband is a cop, just like Dewey. So anyway, Sydney's daughter is named Tatum, after Tatum from the first film. She's walking to school, and we see McKenna Grace. Yeah, she's in Scream 7. Sydney now works as a barista at a cafe, a latte cafe. Meanwhile, Tatum and McKenna Grace are rehearsing for a show. This kind of reminds me of the second film. Sydney gets a video call this time from Stu Macker. That's right, Matthew Lillard is back, baby. But it turns out the video's not real, it's just AI, and he's actually dead. Oh yeah, McKenna Grace is rehearsing for the show one evening, and she gets killed off the spot by Ghostface, and she was only in there that long. She was hardly in it. I expected her to have a bigger role. Also, do you remember when I talked about Scream 6? In that scene where Gail gets stabbed by Ghostface, for real, like proper stabs? Do you remember when I said that I thought she was either going to survive or get killed? Turns out she survives. Yeah, because she's in this one. And two of the characters from 5 and 6 are in this one, but it's not Jenna Ortega. No, it's not Tara, and it's not Sam. It's the last that likes to talk about films. It's her and that other lad. I don't want to call the actors' names. Oh yeah, now Sydney receives another video call from Stu, which believes that it's all just AI. Yeah, apparently there's... Yeah, because now we're into the world of AI and stuff. AI is now getting more popular, even though I don't trust AI. Sydney and Gail then go to see this psychiatric at a psychiatric hospital to ask some questions about the victim. Because... Oh yeah, so there's Ghostface, and Sydney finds Ghostface, takes the mask off, and to discover that he was actually a victim of a psychiatric hospital, but it's someone who stayed over at a psychiatric hospital and actually go to that exact same hospital to speak to that fella. She shows him a photo of Stu. Turns out his real name's just John Doe, which is a rare name for dead bodies. Gail then interviews Sydney on her show on Channel 7. Tatum's boyfriend shows her a video of on his laptop trying to imitate Stu and using AI to turn him into Stu. Ghostface stabs a woman with glass. He gets hold of a lad, pushes him down to this thing with, you know, where pubs where you pour beer, he pushes him down straight over his neck and stabs him like that. You get what I mean. And then Ghostface goes after Tatum's boyfriend, and Ghostface tries to go after Tatum. She rolls into the latte cafe. She reads Sydney and texts her. She heads to the office to get a gun. And she tries to shoot Ghostface, but Ghostface takes her. Sydney arrives home, and then on the TV she sees a video of Stu, but not just Stu, right? Nancy Loomis from the second film. It's true. Roman Bridger, the film director from the third film, and Dewey. Yeah, Dewey's in that video as well, but there's no Billy Loomis. It's fine because he was in the last one anyway, so I bet this one was all about Stu. Okay, so the Ghostface have kidnapped Tatum. So do you like in the first film when I talked about where you know when Drew Barrymore's boyfriend gets tied to a chair, and Roy Culkin as well in that one scene in the fourth film, you get seen just like that in this. And it turns out there's two Ghostfaces for this one. The bloke who you saw at the psychiatric hospital, who works at the psychiatric hospital, is actually the killer. And it's that last, well, it's I don't say last, but a lady that Sydney knows is also the other killer. Also, and then Sydney actually goes after them, and then towards the end, Sydney and Tatum grab two guns and shoot the lady like that. Yeah. For me, Scream 7 was good, but the thing is, it's got radio silence, and for this one, but it's actually Kevin Williamson, the creator of the Scream films, actually directed this film. Yeah. But the thing is, it's all... One thing I don't get, well, is that it's the use of AI. I mean, and again, AI is getting popular. People using AI apps and AI thumbnails, and I would never touch AI for a thumbnail. Never. But one thing I'm disappointed is that they don't really use... They use all of the killers, but the odd one out are the killers from the 6th film and the 5th film. Right? They were absent. Emma Roberts was absent in this film. She wasn't in it. Neither was Timothy Oliphant. Don't worry, even if they don't come back, they're most likely to come back in Scream 8. If that does happen, hope so. I'll definitely be up for that one. But it'll better not take a decade to happen. Because, like, if you look at Scream 4, it took a decade to make after Scream 3, and same goes with Scream 5. It'll take another decade after that, so probably not. But hopefully we'll get an 8th film right away if it does happen. So yeah, that was my review on Scream 7. Now let's do the ranking and the rating. So what we're going to do is we're going to rank each of the Ghostface killers on my tier list, and then we'll rank each of the Scream films also on the tier list, and then we're going to rate this film. Right, so in my Die Hard review, I rated the Die Hard films on a scale of 1 to 10 Bruce Willises. For this one, and I'm gonna rate the Scream films on a scale of 1 to 10 Ghostfaces. Right, so let's get to the tier list and rank the Ghostface killers worst to best. Okay, so I assume I rank all of the Ghostface killers. Right, Stu Macker, Matthew Lillard. I thought his acting was okay. I mean, he's one of the best Ghostfaces in my opinion, so I'm going to put him on S. Skeet Ulrich, Billy Loomis. Also like his acting too, so he's going on S. Nancy Loomis, Billy Loomis' mother from the 2nd film. I actually really liked her acting and her portrayal, and I like the fact that she uses a fake name, Debbie Salt. So she's going on S. Now, Timothy Oliphant, he was okay, but unfortunately he's going on A. Now, Roman Bridger, the filmmaker, he's gone on A as well. No words. Well, I mean, I like his acting though, but he's still going on A. Joe Roberts, Emma Roberts, her acting is fine, and again, she's one of my favourite Ghostface killers along with Matthew Lillard, Stu, and she's gone on S. Now, Rory Culkin, don't ask, but he's gone on A. Now, Jack Quaid, he was fine, but I'm going to put him on A, which is not bad. Now, the other lass with the black hair, the actress name is Mikey Madison from the film Anora. Her acting was perfect. I like the fact when you see that, when she says, welcome to Act 3, when she pulls a gun out. Yeah, so she's gone on S. And the FBI director from the 6th film, the FBI agent who's discovering this case of the previous murders. I like the fact that he's unveiled as one of the Ghostface killers towards the end, so he's gone on S. Now, his daughter Queen, the one with the ginger hair, I'm going to put on B, and same goes that other lad with the curly hair, he's going on B as well. Now, the other fella from the 7th film, Carl, now, I'm not going to lie, I didn't know he was a killer, so I'm going to put him on F, I'm sorry. Now, the person at the psychiatric hospital, I like his acting, so he's gone on S. And to finish it off, the lady in the blonde hair who knows Sydney, I think she's a neighbour. I'm going to put on A, but, and again, she's still fine. She wasn't bad, so she's staying on A. So there you go. Now let's rank each of the Scream films, also on this tier list. Okay, so as you rank each of the Scream films. Right, let's go. Scream 1, I really like that film. I'm going to give it S. Scream 2, that one was okay, so I'm also going to give that S. Right, Scream 3, that's a bit meh. I'll give that an A. Now, Scream 4, that was awesome. I'm going to give that an S. Right, Scream, or Scream 5, I'm also going to give that an S. Scream 6, yeah, that one's alright. I'm going to give that an S. Which leads me to Scream 7. Now, that one was okay. Should I give it an S? I don't know. Oh yeah. Okay, right. Scream 7. I'm going to give this an A. So there you go. Now let's rate all of them. Okay, so on a scale from 1 to 10, how do I rate all of the Scream films? Here we go. Right, so Scream 1, I give that 10 ghost faces. Scream 2, I'll give that 8. Scream 3, I'll give that 6. Scream 4, I'll give that 9. Scream 5, I'll give that 10. Scream 6, I'll also give that 10. And Scream 7, 7. So there you go. Okay, so that was my review of the Scream films. Thanks for watching Alice Gaming and Reviews. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, comment and share. Let us know in the comments about any of your favourite moments from the Scream films, favourite Ghostface killer and stuff like that. And I cannot believe that I've reached over 100 subscribers. And if you watch my YouTube short, I did talk about a live stream. I am still planning on it, but I've been busy with making this video, that was why. But I'll let you know on the community about the dates and stuff. So stay tuned for that. And I do hope I reach 200 subscribers. So yeah, and I guess I'll see you in the next video. Bye.